Welcome back, everybody, to the Breakdown Podcast YouTube channel. My name's Corey, and in this episode, or this video, we are going to be talking the latest from Star Wars, The Bad Batch. Is it the season finale? Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll talk about that. But with me today, once again, I've got Vic.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. Good to see you. I can't wait. This was a great episode.
Now, before we get into that, we do want to let you know we do our show live every Tuesday at 7 p.m.-ish on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/MillerKing_51. Yes, that is 7 p.m. Eastern. I do need to make sure I put that in there as well. We do our show live where we're talking about TV shows, movies, video games. So come by, join the chat, and have some fun with us. This week, we are going to be talking Black Widow, Fast 9, and the Tomorrow War. So come by and hear our thoughts on all these movies and join the chat. So, having said that, one last thing. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. That does help out our channel. And leave some comments. Let us know what you think. Also, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the like button. I think I mentioned both of those. But let's get on to it. Let's break it down.
All right, sir. This episode of The Bad Batch is titled War Mantle. As we talked about last week, War Mantle was the code name for the Imperial, the Empire's change from the clones to the stormtroopers. And that's like official canon. Like, we know that Operation War Mantle is what that was, right? So in this episode, we see the Bad Batch is hailed by Rex, who's like, hey, I need you guys to do something for me. I can't do it, but we need to go and save my brother. He's on a planet called Darrow, and he's in trouble. And at the beginning of the episode, we see Gregor, who is one of the clones that worked very closely with Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka when they were all generals and working during the Clone Wars. So he is a regular face and one of the most liked clones from the Clone Wars. And also into Rebels, he's an older, he plays an older version of himself, though I don't like that version. He seems kind of weird and kooky and cockeyed, but well, I don't know.
I figured he was important by the beginning scene where all we see is him running through a bunch of trees. Now, I gotta say, I honestly, between that scene and then the scene when the Bad Batch landed on the planet, I thought they were on Endor, and I was expecting Ewoks.
No, sir. No, sir. They were
I was let down.
They were on the planet Darrow, which Darrow is supposed to be an abandoned planet. There's not supposed to be anything in there. But they track his signal down to the planet. And when they get there, we get to see a little bit of Hunter's aptly named hunting skills as he tracks down Gregor, trying to find him, and he's like, okay, I can't find him. Now, earlier in the episode, just a little bit ago, they actually named him by his call numbers, which is CC5576. So, they have CC, which is Clone Commander, CT, which is Clone Troopers, and then you have KTs, or is it TKs? TKs are Stormtroopers. So
what does the TK stand for?
I'm not 100% positive. I feel like I think it's supposed to be, because they didn't want to do TC after doing CT, so I think they did TK as Trooper Corps, but used a K instead of a C. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I think it was just a way for them to designate it without just flipping the letters, which I think would have been I don't know.
It would have made more sense. Yeah. Well, we did this one, so it's kind of the same, but it's not.
And I think that they didn't want to do ST ... for Stormtrooper. They didn't want it to
make sense.
They didn't want it to be just that obvious, but that was really like the way that they obviously don't want to personalize any of the troopers, so you don't know who they are, where they're from, whatever it is. They just give them these designations and these numbers.
They're
But
all
I thought it
clones,
was
so they
kind
all
of
look
funny.
exactly the same.
I thought it was kind of funny that they actually used that instead of just saying his name, and I'm like, okay, so we know it's Gregor. Why are they using that? But I understood later on in the episode why they did it. We'll get to that. So they get there and they're like, okay, we can't figure out where he is. They've kind of tracked him down. They realize that like he's been captured. They get to this like crevice in like this huge like rift, and they're like, what in the hell is that? And they're like, this isn't supposed to be here. And there's a base just built into this giant like rift in the ground. I can't even think of what it's. Yeah, crevasse, I guess.
It's like Dr. Evil's lair.
You know what it reminded me of? I was looking at that going, this looks a whole lot like Starkiller Base. You imagine that that's like where they kind of first start getting the idea of using a whole planet as like a base. I feel like this was like the start of Starkiller Base wasn't Darrow, but it does give you kind of that feel like they're building this entire like structure inside of the mantle of this planet.
What if they built it all inside the base? The actual Earth crust was the outside formation of the Starkiller, and they somehow shed it. They turned on all their electronics, and it shed all of the planet, and so now we're just left with the Death Star.
Yeah, I still think that would be problematic for a number of reasons. But I like where your head's going though.
Yeah.
So they get there, they realize, okay, we have to get inside and find Gregor. He's in there somewhere. And they come up with a plan. They're gonna take, for whatever reason, they always build like, they don't build elevator shafts. They build elevator like gantries that just are always on the exterior of things. I'm like, if you guys had just dug a hole and put that elevator inside the hole, you probably would have done better and not been infiltrated so easily. Yeah. And then on top of that, they always just have open windows. They never have like glassed in things. So they will just climb down, jump in, like, oh, it's barely an inconvenience. It's all good. Like,
nobody's gonna. They don't figure anybody's gonna jump in there. So why put glass there?
Yeah. I figure they're saving a little. But then they have these things. They have Durasteel and Duraglass that like it's just, I don't know. It just seems silly. Anyway. So they break in, they find Gregor, and they're like, what's going on here? When Echo was like hacking the place, he's like, okay, so there's 50 clone troopers and about 1,000 of these TK troopers or TKs series, and that's when I was like, oh, this is why they mentioned the CC 5576. Because designating him, now we know there's a difference between the clone troopers and whoever else these other people are. That's where the click came in. So basically what's happening is, and I told you this before, as they were phasing out the clone troopers, they would get the best of the clone troopers and they would turn them into instructors and have them teach the stormtroopers how to be clone troopers. Basically, they're like, okay, well, clone troopers were the best warriors the Empire had, or the Republic had, I should say.
So who taught the later troopers how to shoot?
Well, if you listen in this episode, he actually tells him, he's like, while they're stunning all of these TKs, right? Not killing them, they're stunning them. And we talked about that. The TKs are trying to kill them, but they're stunning them. And he's like, who taught these guys how to shoot? He's like, well, I didn't teach them everything. So like that was kind of the nod to like, yeah, I did it on purpose. Like the clone troopers, like, yeah, you're phasing us out. We're not going to give you our best with these guys. You can figure it out yourself.
Makes sense. That actually kind of makes sense.
I was like, this very much explains the idea behind the fact that stormtroopers can't hit the broadside of a barn. But yeah, it was a nice little nod to that little wink, wink, nudge, nudge there. So as they're trying to escape, they realize that they've been mustered and that the troopers are between them and the exit. And Tech, being Tech, is like, oh, I can get us out of this. It's just technology. It's fine. He fucking plugs in, starts typing in clone codes, the codes that he was trained to use. He sets off an alarm, and Gregor's like, What'd you do? It's like, you can't use our codes. This is a whole new thing. And the TKs come running. Now, I don't know.
They should do. Hold on, I
Okay.
just had an idea. They should do a show, like a spinoff show that follows the stormtroopers, like the later ones, and it's a comedy, and you kind of see why that these guys aren't as trained as you think they are.
There is actually a there is a web series called
Is it canon?
Bucketheads. No. It's a
Not
fan
canon,
thing.
doesn't count.
Well, it's not. They're not going to make anything canon like that in the first place.
They should. They should. It would be funny. It would be funny. You have it. You could almost make it like The Office, to where like there's a camera crew following them around, but
Yeah.
there's not really.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that floating camera, and you kind of see everything going on, and they're in.
It's too much of a comedy thing for it to actually be
I know.
canon. But
I
I'm
know.
telling you, check out Bucketheads, because it's literally what you're talking about. Literally what you're talking about. But
Yeah, but it's not canon, so I can't. Can't.
Where was I?
I don't know. I interrupted you.
Yeah,
You're talking about after.
So they get Gregor out. They're trying to escape, and they end up calling all of the troopers after them, and alerting the troopers to the fact that they're there. Now, something you may or may not have noticed, if you look at the troopers, and they actually bring it up, they're like, "Hey, they have new armor." There's kind of like a shift from the clone trooper armor to the stormtrooper armor, and there's definitely a different look. The cool part about this is twofold. So in looking at it, I was like, oh, their helmets look like the mud troopers from Solo. Do you remember in Solo when he gets to the planet, when he first meets Woody Harrelson? He's got on like there's all these troopers around them, Republic troopers. They're called mud troopers. And they had this
I remember
they
the
had this
scene.
very like stormtrooper-esque looking helmet, but the face piece popped off, and then there were just people underneath of it, just regular soldiers.
I think I kind of remember it, but it's been so long.
That helmet that they had on has that look to it. Like the brim of the helmet has this mud trooper look thing to it, and then you can tell where the faceplate would normally connect is now just a solid plate. So it's kind of like a mix between like the clone troopers helmets, the mud trooper helmet, and then you can see where it's kind of shifting towards the design for the stormtrooper helmet. And the reason for that is because the original designer of the clone troopers, that was the original concept art that they used for the clone troopers. When they originally came up with Clone Wars and the Clone Troopers, that was the original kind of like
what you're saying is
art.
When they were creating this whole thing, that's what it was from real life.
Yes, yeah, that was the actual original art,
concept art
for that, which is really cool that they're kind of introducing that into what we're getting to see, because like it's just nostalgic for me, because I know what it is, but like a lot of people were like, holy shit, I know what that is. Which made it really cool.
I thought the one that had the like the lit up visor,
the commander.
I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I like.
I can't imagine how that works though.
Well, I mean, it's an illuminated plate because it's got the HUDs are inside of there, so they're all kind of lit up like that. But I think it's just meant to be.
Your head's on the inside trying to look out. What are you seeing? Are you seeing a bright light?
No, you're not seeing that at all, because the light is forward facing. Technically, I actually have some. I'll show them to you one day, but I have some of those things. When they're lit up, you can see through them. They're just really bright, but they are actually, you can actually see through them even when they're lit up. I'll show them to you.
Okay.
I don't know where they are right now, but I have them for my helmets, so you can put the lights inside of the helmets. So like when we do cosplay stuff, you can hit the button and it'll make the eyes light up like Iron Man. But back to this. While all this is going on, we also get a flashback to Kamino, and on Kamino we have the Kaminoans are kind of reeling from the fact that the Empire's finally made their decision that they're going to that they've ended their contracts with the Kaminoans to provide them with the clone troopers anymore. And basically what that means is like they're cut off. they're losing all of their funding. And because the Kaminoans are basically like these nomad type mad scientist people, because the planet that they're on is not their original planet, and we saw whenever something goes wrong, they just abandon wherever they are, because that's where Cad Bane had taken Omega to hand her over. So I think they're about to do the same thing with this base, and he's like, we need to get all of our scientists together quietly. I'll make arrangements for a shuttle to get us off planet, so that we can get away, because I don't think that they're not gonna let us go peacefully, is what he's thinking. So they Lama Su and Nala Se plan on escaping, but their plans are foiled because, for whatever reason, freaking Rampart is always around, fucking just sniffing at everything, and he catches them, and he's like, I just caught your scientists here, Nala Se, trying to collect all of your scientists to escape, and fucking Lama Su's like, oh yeah, I'll have to punish her for that. I don't know what she was thinking. Like, yeah, you didn't tell her to do it. So he's like, yeah, I'm just going to pretend I'm going to throw her under the bus. We'll still escape out of here. Don't worry about it. He kind of gives her the side eye, like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. And Rampart's like, yeah, you know, I have a lot more use for a scientist than I do a politician. And I'll be taking her with me. And the doors close. We don't hear it, but I'm pretty sure if they had given us a couple extra seconds and this wasn't a cartoon, we would have heard 2 blaster shots, and that would have been the end.
Yeah, I was wondering if they were going to do the blaster shots. Yeah, I was wondering if we were going to hear that.
I was too, but I realized that this is Disney, and you know, even implied murder, like you see the guys get shot by the lasers, but you don't see any kind of like damage to them. But when he's like, yeah, I don't need you anymore, and then the door closes and you hear, your imagination goes, oh, they just blew that dude's head off or something like that. I think they don't want to put that out there.
I'm sure you're right, but what's the difference between that and then the Bad Batch shooting it at whoever?
They only stun people. The Bad Batch only stuns them. The other guys never get hit. They never get hit and hurt or killed. When they do get hit, but they don't die. You never see any of them die.
What about a Mandalorian?
That's an adult show. Like it's billed as an adult. But
it's all the same universe.
It's still got an older rating. And you can say the same thing about Star Wars. We see people die in Star Wars all the time, but it's not a cartoon based for kids.
Hell, they sliced Darth Maul in half.
Yeah. In the movie that had a rating, not a kids safe for all.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, though. I mean, it's come on. Yes, you can't say that this show is for kids.
The bottom line is
animated.
It's just that balance. But we know that they dunked that dude and they're gonna throw him off of that ship. And I had some thoughts about what they're doing. So obviously they took Nala Se because they know that she's actually the brains behind the operation. But I think that they took her because they need her to teach their scientists how to be cloners. And that would explain in The Mandalorian why we have the one doctor who is wearing a Kaminoan science patch on his arm. Mm-hmm. And he is the cloning expert working for the New Order, the First Order, during the Mandalorian. So I have a feeling like that's basically what they're alluding to, which would then tie in the fact that the Empire and the Emperor have been trying to create clones, and this would kind of be the push as like, hey, we're going to canonize the fact that that the Empire was actually manufacturing clones of their own, but not for stormtroopers type of situation.
Right.
So I thought that was another good, like, kind of nod into what was going on. So, as the Bad Batch, as all that's going on, the Bad Batch are escaping through the tunnels in the Dara planet fortress, and they're being pursued by the new KT troopers. They get into a standoff. They call in Omega, who is fully piloting their shuttle now. So, like, she has crossed that line. She is technically a pilot now. because Wrecker was there and he wasn't piloting the ship. It was her. So good. She did. She accomplished one of the things that she wanted to accomplish. And
All
again,
right, I guess her story arc is done. I guess she's gonna die next episode.
it's very possible. We did see. I forgot to say about that part. I wanted to bring up. You know, I've been talking this entire season about the fact that she is like an eidetic like genius, and she was watching Hunter spin his blade at the beginning of the episode, and she had that arc spanner, and she was just about to start doing it when the call came in. So I was like, yep, see, there it is again. Just another nod towards that visual eidetic thing that she does. And like they keep pushing and they keep pushing, and eventually it's going to pay off, and they're going to explain.
We called that like in episode 2 or
what
1.
her actual like augmentation is. But with that said, they start to jump over onto the ship. I was like, okay, so like I know the thing has to go down, right?
Yeah.
And then it comes out and the stairs pop out.
Yeah.
But the wings fold up, right?
Yeah.
So they should have just pulled the damn ship closer and angled it so they could just jump right in the door. I don't understand.
Well, remember who's driving.
That's true. Okay, I'll give you that. But they start jumping in. The one of the stormtroopers runs out, gets captured. They used him as a human shield while they jumped onto the ship. Which that dude obviously was dead, but they didn't show it. You just saw him get tapped a couple times by his fellow stormtroopers, who have remarkably good aim at close range for early stormtroopers, but that's because it hasn't been bred out of them.
Yes.
Oh, and at one point, during the struggle, they had taken the helmet off of one of the stormtroopers, and they realized that they were not clones, that they were just regular people. So there was that reveal that they have officially, the TKs are not. They weren't just like clone troopers that they switched their designations and put them in new armor. These are conscripted soldiers that signed up to be part of the Empire because they wanted to do something better. They wanted to make money. And then we know that Gregor is just teaching them how to be troopers. I'm not even going to call them clone troopers, but teaching them how to be troopers at this point. So in their escape, they get away. We see a few like TIE class fighters, slightly different. You can see that they're going towards the TIE fighter design in some of these newer vehicles. We've seen them in Clone Wars, but they're slowly molding towards the TIE fighter model. And as they're escaping, Hunter gets left behind. And he falls out of that tunnel, and he hits every branch on the ugly stick going down.
Yeah.
And manages to survive somehow. Which, I mean, he's got armor on, so I'll give it that the armor saved him. But it was not.
That's a really high fall, you know.
I mean, he hit a lot of stuff going down, so he got slowed down, but I just figured like something should have been broken.
He at least should have had like 15 concussions.
Something. But so he hits the ground, and they're like, we'll swing back by and get you. He's like, you can't, you gotta go. You need to leave now. You completed the mission, you saved Gregor, go. I'll find my way out. And Omega's like, no, you can't, nope. That's not how this is gonna go down. You need to go back and get him right now. Tell them to come get you, make it in order, let's go. Do it.
Was that you?
Yeah, I accidentally answered it. Hold on. Crap, I forgot where I stopped at. Hold on.
You talk about them flying off. Fitting music.
Hold on. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So Hunter is the last man standing. He's at the end of the tunnel. He ends up falling out of the tunnel. He hits every tree on the way down, hits a few rocks, slides down to the bottom of the hill, and he's like, all right, this sucks. I can't imagine that felt good at all. But then he radios up to them, and they're like, we'll swing back around and get you. He's like, no, you got to go. we've done our mission. We've saved Gregor. Get out of here. I'll find my way out. And you're like, okay, it's Hunter. He'll find his way out. And Omega's like, nope, that's not how this is going to work. We came to save it. We came to save Gregor. We didn't come to leave you. You need to let us come and save you. And he's like, no, go now. And she's like, tell them to come get you. Make it an order so they'll do it. And he's like, go. And Tech was like, that's my orders. And he took off. They left Doro. They left Hunter on the planet. He gets captured, of course, because he's surrounded. He's got like one vibro blade versus like 50 guys that are surrounding him with blasters. So he's just like, all right, he sheaths his blade, he gives up, and at the end of the episode, he's sitting in the cell that Gregor was in, I'm assuming, and Crosshair walks up and he's like, yeah, I was wondering when you'd show up, traitor. In so many words. And Crosshair's the same way. He's like, it's only a matter of time before we catch the rest of you. He's like, I was hoping we get the whole crew, but I guess you'll have to suffice. And yeah, so Crosshairs
and that was
as
the end of the
Hunter,
episode.
and the episode just ends, and I was like, "What the ever living? What? What the what?"
I was like, okay, I
There's
guess
no
that's
way that
that.
they end the season like this. There's no way this is the finale. And I looked and I'm like, okay, there's 14 episodes listed. This is episode 14. War Mantle's the last one on the list. What? And I was complex. I was like, I can't believe they're going to end this like this. This cannot be the way that they do the end of this season. There's no way that they're going to do it like this. And it was not until 27 minutes ago that I looked up IMDb to see, because everything has it listed as 14 episodes. Like everything has 14 episodes. War Mantle is listed as the last episode on everything that I saw. So I went to IMDb as we were talking and getting ready for the show to record the episode, and I saw that D. Bradley Baker, who does the voice for all of the clones and all of the Bad Batch members.
Shout out to him, because I did not know he did every one of them.
Yeah. Not to mention, I think he, like I said, he does some of the droids and different things too. But he has listed on his IMDb as number of episodes is 16, where almost everybody else has anywhere from 12 to 14 episodes. So if that's the case, then we have 2 more episodes coming.
If that's the case too, I'm going to play a little conspiracy thing, or, you got whoever does the voice of Omega, this is 14 episodes. We already know the Hunter's captured. Maybe episode 15 and 16 don't include Omega, and it's all about Hunter, the last 2 episodes, which ends up leaving you with a some kind of cliffhanger. I don't know what that would be.
Well,
but it's
see,
just an idea.
The other kicker too is I think that like episode 2, I think there may have already been 2 episodes where Omega was not involved at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and if that's the case, then the 14 episodes, there could be 2 prior episodes where she wasn't in it, and she has 14 because there's 2 more left. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Like
yeah,
I'd have to go back and look at each of the episodes and see which ones actually involve Omega. But I have a feeling that could be like there's 1 or 2 episodes in there that she wasn't involved in, which would leave her with 14, missing 2 episodes. So it could be like this next episode or the next episode may not have her, because it could be a bottle episode where it's all about Hunter dealing with Crosshair, trying to talk him into understanding that where he's gone wrong, and then dealing with the Empire, dealing with Camino, and the transition to the Stormtroopers, and yada yada yada. So this next episode could be a bottle episode, which would not include Omega or anybody else. But then moving after that, the final episode for the season. But even if there are 2 full episodes remaining, it still leaves us with the possibility of another season, which I really do believe that's going to be a thing. And B, we still have a chance of seeing the actual Boba Fett, because we got to see a couple of little Bobas, or little cloners. Little clone troopers that were being shuffled off somewhere.
Ooh, what if the one that actually had a line in this episode was Boba Fett?
It wasn't, because at this point, I think Boba Fett would have been infiltrating.
Older.
Well, no, he's the right age, but he would have been infiltrating the actual Imperial Academy, if I remember correctly, around this time. So there was some
Oh.
stuff going on, at that point in the show where he's already been in the Imperial Academy. He would have escaped at this point, and he's running around as a like a mercenary type of situation. But I mean, it could also be that he does go back and like infiltrates and trying to figure out what's going on. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of things they could do with it, but I'm really interested to see. I would like for them to put Boba Fett in this before young Boba in this before it's over. And then like have him somehow have something to do with with Crosshair's either demise and or turn back to the.
Could you imagine if you find out it was Boba that killed Crosshair?
Oh, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting.
That'd be cool. All right. Well, we do want to thank you for watching, and again, if you have any comments, please leave them down below. We'd love to hear from you. So, on behalf of Vic,
that's me.
I'm Corey. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.
See ya!
Come here.
I'm ready. What the hell was that?
I don't know. I had something in my throat. Yeah. I fumbled a word and I had something in my throat, and it's like, no, just start over.